Okay, so there's this relationship story that is absolutely blown up online, and it has everything. You've got accusations of greed, a wild Mother's Day ultimatum, and a super controversial podcast right at the heart of it all. So let's get into it. We're going to break down both sides of this very public and very messy breakup. It really all kicked off with this one single social media post from a woman named Lucretia. I mean, just this one sentence lit a massive firestorm online. So you gotta ask, right? What in the world could lead to someone getting dumped on Mother's Day, of all days? Well, turns out it all boiled down to one single, very high-stakes request on a day that, is supposed to be all about celebration.
Get this, Lucretia asked her partner, Wesley, for $100,000, and not for a house or a car or anything like that. She wanted it to celebrate Mother's Day with her daughter. And yeah, that request is what blew up their entire relationship.
Wesley's reaction was, wow. It was fast and it was harsh. He didn't just say no, he broke up with her over text and then kicked both her and her daughter out of his house, just like that. The consequences were immediate, totally life-changing. So, okay, let's dive into Lucretia's side of the story.
So, from where Lucretia's standing, Wesley's actions came completely out of left field. She describes him as this loving, generous guy who then suddenly just turned into a total stranger, someone she didn't even recognize anymore.
She says, in the beginning, things were perfect. Wesley was the dream partner. He even promised to love her daughter like she was his own. But then, there was a shift, and it all points back to him discovering this one podcast. And from there, it was a straight line to the end. He just cut her off financially, emotionally, the whole deal. So now, Lucretia is taking this whole thing public. She's online, in tears, trying to warn other women. And she's not holding back. She is pointing the finger directly at the 555 Relationship podcast and its host, Blaze, saying they completely poisoned her relationship. But, as we all know, there's always another side to the story. All right, let's flip the script and look at Wesley's perspective. Because for him, this wasn't a betrayal at all. He calls it an awakening. He's arguing that this podcast didn't ruin him. No, it saved him. It taught him his own self-worth.
So you might be wondering, what is this podcast that had such a massive impact? Well, the Fyah-Verse, as it's called, isn't just a show. It's a whole online community, a whole mindset created by the host, Blaze on Fire. And this is the world that Wesley dove into head first.
Okay, so what are the actual teachings of this Fyah-Verse? It seems like Wesley's big change was guided by a few core ideas he picked up from listening.
It boils down to this kind of three-step philosophy for empowerment. First, you learn self-worth and self-love. Second, you set some really firm boundaries. And then step 3, this is the tough one, you eliminate what they call dead weight. And in Wesley's mind, that final step applied directly to Lucretia.
And this really gets to the core of their conflict. See, Lucretia saw him pulling back financially and thought, oh, he's just joking around. She thought it was just a phase. But from Wesley's side, he saw it as a much-needed course correction. He felt like he was being used, not just by her, but by her entire family.
And Wesley didn't stop there. He justified his actions with some pretty heavy accusations. He claimed that it wasn't just about the money. He said Lucretia was a huge flirt and wasn't loyal. All of this basically convinced him that she was only in it for his bank account. And for him, that was the final straw.
So the relationship is over, but the fight has just moved online, turning this very private drama into a huge public spectacle, which leads to the big question everyone's asking. Are her videos a real, heartfelt warning to others, or is there something else going on here?
What we're left with are these two totally competing stories playing out for everyone to see. You've got Lucretia, who's painting herself as the victim, crying online and trying to warn other women, and then you've got the narrative around Wesley, which is that he's the guy who finally put his foot down because he was just tired of being used.
And Wesley's take on her online videos, it is absolutely brutal. He says he doesn't see a heartbroken woman. Nope, he sees someone who's clout chasing, using the drama to find, and these are his words, her next victim or sponsor. So when you step back from all the drama, this whole thing really leaves you with a much bigger question about the world of online advice. Are communities like the Fyah-Verse genuinely empowering people, helping them set healthy boundaries? Or are they just pushing these really extreme black and white views that can actually end up wrecking real relationships? This story for sure does not give us an easy answer. It kind of leaves it up to all of us to think about.